G'day there. Welcome to the closing bell on the 23rd of Feb. For me, Friday afternoon. And look, I think we're all a bit bored of what the indices are doing. ASX, the microcaps, pretty dead at the moment. There's a few things moving in small caps, a bit of money flowing into a few things, some results coming out, and a couple of things jumping on okay results, which is good. So, things are alive and kicking. We just need to see whether the ASX itself can really break out to new all-time highs and start trending, which I think will start lifting all boats. But so it's a very selective market out there. And we know in that small microcap space, it's been a bloodbath for the last few years. So if you're holding on to a few dogs that you wish you could get rid of, I assure you most of us are after the last few years. But that's then time to be, thinking about when is that capitulation over? We want to keep our ears to the ground for when this thing starts turning up. And there is a bit of life coming into a few of those beaten up, well, in the future-facing metals, a lot of it is still really in trouble, like lithium, etc. But I've just noticed a little bit of buying coming into graphite. So, it could be getting close to a time to step up. So I just wanted to show you one in particular, Talga Resources, and take you through why I think it's starting to look interesting. Syrah Resources is the other one. We were actually in Syrah Resources in one of my services, and that's leapt about 70–80% in the last few weeks from very low levels. It really has collapsed, but is starting to turn up. And Talga also seeing a bit of buying come in. And I just wanted to show you the overall setup in this thing. That they have a large graphite deposit in Sweden and planning on becoming an anode producer, being over in Europe, close to the OEMs over there, and, low carbon, I guess, in the production of their graphite and that sort of thing, giving themselves some sort of environmental credentials. But I think the fact is that they've got a lot of people interested in what they've got, and down the track we know that graphite is one of those things controlled by China, and that we're trying to sort of diversify away from that China control. Talga being one of those sort of companies that could end up I think making it. But with the whole market and with all of those future-facing metals, it's had a struggle. It's got some problems, getting through the environmental permits, people appealing. So that is still in the wings, and any good news on that front could really see the thing lift. But you can see that in the last few months, this being a monthly chart, it's fallen from around $2. And this was when there was a good news on their permit, but then they started getting people appealing it, and the overall market also weakening off, graphite, as well as lithium and that sort of thing, of course. So it has plummeted from around $2 down to 60 cents just last month. And the reason why I find that interesting, you'll know that I always am keeping an eye out for these large retracements of major waves. If we're looking at a past wave, I'm looking at these. Here we had a big run from 2016 to 2017. And I'm just looking at those waves and picking out the areas where I expect to see resistance in that wave, and the areas where there should be buying support, and expecting oscillations around the point of control, that midpoint. So in the past, you can see there, big wave, all these positions put on over that period between 20 cents to 80, 90 cents. And then it spent the next few years basically oscillating backwards and forwards to that point of control. You can see there. So revisits, goes up into the sell zone, back to the point of control, up into the sell zone again, back to the point of control, down into the buy zone, back to the point of control. And you can see there buy pivots happening, giving you a sense of a reversal on the monthly, back to the point of control, up to the sell zone again, back to the point of control. So you can see this process of revisiting the buy and sell zones and returning to that point of control, which is what confuses everyone, right? This is what makes people lose money. Amateurs are getting excited, getting bullish up here, and they're getting bearish down here. Getting bullish again, getting bearish again. And so amateurs are just getting shaken out all over the place. And that's sort of how markets work. So if I'm then looking at this next wave up in Talga all the way to the high here. And look, I had a trade in this one. Members will know, had a go at this when it was starting to turn up. I got a bit of a signal to go in and got long, took off, and then reversed and sold off. And I basically got the hell out of it when it couldn't carry on. And so it's then plummeted. But just to show you the way these waves move, we've got this big rally up to $2.20, from near nothing, 20 cents to 2.20 from 2021 to 2022. This is the big excitement, of course, the huge rally, all of those lithium, et cetera, et cetera. The world's going to go to electric vehicles. Everyone got sucked in, and then the music stopped. And if we're looking at it from the point of view of those waves, you can see we've got the point of control, the midpoint of that wave there, which is around $1.20. We've had lots of work done in the upper section. You can see there, the top half of that wave, but there was still the resistance in that sort of sell zone area, wasn't there? Where it couldn't get through. Selling pressure kept coming in around there. And then, it was still finding support at that point of control, the midpoint there for months. And once it gave way, that's when the people who had been buying in this area here, right? So there's 2 years of buying done in that area, $1.20 to $1.80. Well, they're the guys that are hitting the sell button when the price heads below the low of the range. So that's lots of stop losses going off, bit of a panic of the people who bought in this section here. So that can then push the price, way down, a real clear out of positions. And if the buying pressure then can come in that buy zone of this major wave, then you're waiting for a reversal. And if the reversal occurs, you're really looking for a move back to that point of control. And by looking for that move, you're trying to get on board, as best you can around this 60 to 80 cent region. If this monthly buy pivot is confirmed, sorry. And then you're aiming for a target back to that midpoint, because the odds are pretty good that it's going to get back to that midpoint at least. And that's where you're then taking part profit and ultimately hoping that the long-term uptrend is going to continue. That the good news will come back in and we'll get a resumption of that uptrend. And, who knows, on the next wave up, financing comes through, that the appeals on the environmental, people trying to stop the project, they get quashed. And all of a sudden, the reality can set in. And if all of those future-facing metals turn back up again, all of a sudden this thing could be blasting off to the upside. So that's just one that is pricking up my ears at the moment when there's so little out there that is of interest. And, not confirmed yet, still coming into the end of the month, still got another week before the end of the month. But if it can close above the high of last month's trading, it's going to start looking interesting. And I can't give you all the final calculations on the perfect entry points. You'd have to join one of my services, I think, to do that. and find out about that. But the monthly buy pivot will be confirmed on a monthly close above 82 cents this month. So it's just starting to look interesting. And if I look at, SYR, just to see, is there some life coming back into the graphite sector, you'll just notice just recently we've had a move from about 36 cents to 60 cents, but still needs to do a bit more to prove that it's turning up. I'd like to see a monthly buy pivot on this one as well. But there is just some good buying coming in recently, which is just interesting. And also, if we just go back to Talga, I just wanted to show you on the daily that just yesterday there was big volume went through. So my suspicions would be that there's been a big seller trying to get out of a position, and if they're at that final chunk to get out of, someone has said, "Yep, I'll take it all," and they've gone fine, and they're done, which means the seller is finished, probably, with that big volume going through, which can then be like a pressure release valve, allowing the price to turn back up after it's been under just consistent selling pressure from this large shareholder. So that's sort of just another little thing making me think that the worst may be over. And I do like the project big picture long term. I've already had a stab at it a while ago, and may have another stab at it again if all of the conditions are right. Oh, well, I think that's enough for today. I'm pretty bored of the indexes, I've got to say. So there's one for you to follow along from here. Cheers.